What was the worst day of your life? The day you wanted to end things. The day you wanted to crawl in a hole and die. The day you wanted to give up. Is it a day you talk about often? Or is it a day no one knows about? I'm going to tell you what my worst day was. I'm going to tell you how I almost threw in the towel. Let's talk about this on the Purposely Broken World July episode. The following is a part of Uchi Productions. All rights reserved by King Nunez and his colleagues. All opinions expressed are strictly their own. I am Kevin Nunez, and I want to officially welcome you to another episode of The Purposely Broken World. Society, disability, and faith always interact with each other. Let me explain how. 1 in 4 Americans have a disability. Everyone has faith in someone or something. And whether we want to admit it or not, we're all part of society. So if all these things work together, let's talk about them together. Welcome to the show. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Advocacy Life, podcast, and blog. Podcast episodes will be released once a month. Blogs will be released once every week on Wednesdays. See you soon. Hello, dear friends. Welcome officially again to the July episode of The Purposely Broken World. I always do a little praying before I do a podcast. Nothing major, just a little. I ask God for a little clarity to deliver a good message. And the term dog days always popped in my mind earlier this week. For reference, I'm recording this on July 19th, also known as Juneteenth, 2023. I always record stuff early. You will, of course, be seeing this on July 1st, 2023. So, the term dog days is usually reserved for baseball when they're in the middle of the schedule and they're just playing the games out, and it's just one game after another game after another game after another game to finish the season. It's easy to do that if your team is on top and winning. But what if your team is not winning? What if you have a bad team? What if you have a bad year? What if you're just playing the games out because you're not going to go anywhere? What if you're playing the games out because you're getting paid for it, but you have no desire to go to the ballpark that day? What do you do then? What do you do when life is hard and you have to just live the day? You have to just exist through the day, but not actually enjoy the day because you can't find anything enjoyable. Is there a difference between living life and existing through life? As you know, this is the podcast with more questions than answers. I really want to talk today about the dog days of life and how the struggles of our lives can really weigh us down, and what do we do when we can't find the light? We can't find the goodness. As you know, I have cerebral palsy. It's a neurological condition that affects the brain and the spinal canal. Basically, think of it like a car. Okay? The messages get sent from the brain down the spinal canal. Just like you put the key in the ignition, it's about to turn over. But all of a sudden, it just doesn't. And it just dies. My body's like that. I feel all the muscles working. I feel everything moving. But again, somewhere along the line, the connection is lost. I can bear weight to help someone with the transfer, but I can't stand. I can take a step here, a step there, but I can't walk. If I try to walk, I end up exhausted, or I throw up after like 2 or 3 steps. And please, I only do it in a therapeutic setting to begin with. So, Mr. Social Security, Don't go after my social security because I still can't walk. Um, but today I wanted to talk to you about, honestly, the worst day I ever had. Um, I should say the worst 5 years I had. I just didn't know it because I was going through the motions. And I was unhappy, but I was comfortable being unhappy. I got tired of fighting. I got tired of the struggle. I got tired of life. So what do? What happens? How do you overcome that? Let me give you a quick background of my life. My parents were Puerto Rican. We are all Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico at the age of 4. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up the number 4 on my hand. Moved here when I was 4. None of us knew English. My parents did not want me to take ESL, English as a second language, because they wanted me to learn English, what they called the real way. No sugarcoating it. Because I was basically, not directly, but indirectly going to teach them the culture and the language. Because now, of course, Puerto Rico is very Americanized. But in 1987 and in 1991 when we moved, it really, really wasn't. Okay? So, the school was going to teach me and they were going to learn English by default, essentially. Even today, my dad will watch movies with English subtitles. And of course, now he speaks English almost perfectly. But he still watches movies with English subtitles to learn what he calls the dialects, the y'alls, the southern accents. If you're an American, you don't realize the different accents that you have in America. But if you're a foreigner, I remember coming home crying because I didn't want to speak English anymore. I wanted to speak Spanish all day. Now I wrote a book in English. How weird is that? And now I'm having trouble translating to Spanish, only because my grandma's a Spanish teacher, so she wants to make sure it's all correctly in Spanish. So I'm bilingual, but my grandma still has the last word. Anyway, so like I said, we all learned English. We struggled getting here. My dad was a warehouse manager. He, like I said, learned English. He was a logistical warehouse manager for years. My mother, first degree was a business administration. Second degree was in nursing. We really pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Now, fast forward a little bit. I watched my parents struggle every day. My parents were divorced when I was 11. So what does that mean? That if your parents are divorced and it's your mom's weekend or your dad's weekend, whatever, you can probably, leave the son at the curb, watch him from the window, and make sure that he or her is okay as they, get in the car with the mom or dad or whatever. So, but when you have a disability, there's still thousands of doctor's appointments and, medical appointments to go to, so you can't really just trade off like that. Parents still have to deal with each other. So I was always determined to never let them down. I wanted to always make them proud of me. I wanted to make sure their sacrifices were worth it. I didn't know this, but I basically put this weight on myself at about 12 or 13 to be the best academically, because of course my body was not going to do it. So I really tried my best to get good grades. College, it's so funny. Nowadays there's grants, there's programs all across the country to go to college. Yes, there's school debt, of course there is, but it's more accessible to go to college now than ever. There was no online universities when I was growing up. It was either go to college or bust. I went to an all public high school. Thank you God for that. It really taught me how to, deal with the world because, of course, the world is not accessible. So it made me realize how to handle the world. But when it came time for high school, like everyone else, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But, you really, really couldn't. Especially if you were like me with a disability. Now, yes, my school had a job stamping program through special ed. I was not in special ed. What I did to accomplish this, and a lot of people don't know this at all, was after I officially graduated, I got the diploma in my hand. I went back for an additional year to basically do a gigantic work study course and figure out what I wanted to do. Here's the problem. I have a physical disability. Most of the individuals who were in special ed at the time they had Down syndrome. So life skills and the kitchen and all those little things were adapted for them. But it really wasn't adapted for me. This was like the step one of the spiral that I anticipated or that I had. And what happened was I wasn't comfortable either in the disabled world or the normal world. So that was step one of what I call the dog days because I didn't want to fit in. So when it came time for college, I didn't know where to apply. There was a college for people with disabilities, but it was 6 hours away. And I'm a huge family-oriented person, as you might have noticed. So 6 hours away was pretty much a no-go for the family. Plus, we didn't really have the financial means to go to that college. I probably could have, talked to my parents. But again, if you come from a divorced household, you learn which battles to pick and which not to pick. And I didn't pick this one. So I didn't go to the college that I probably could have and should have gone to. But that's probably a whole other podcast. When I went to college, I did 1 semester. Life happened. It was great. I did it was fantastic. We had to relocate to another part of the state. It was a local county college I went to. It was fantastic. Like I said, I got straight A's. I made my own schedule, so I got up when I wanted to, went to bed when I wanted to. It was 10 minutes from the house, so my dad could transport me easily back and forth. All that good stuff. So it was a little... We had to move, but I really wasn't worried about it because all the credits were transferable. We move, I take a semester off to get the house all set up, yada yada yada. I go to the local college down here. I didn't pass their entrance exam by 2 points. I was so disheartened. They wanted me to take 27 credits of remedial courses before I get to study what I wanted to study. For those of you who don't know what remedial courses are, they are dumb classes. It's like reading 101, just so you can go to college and study what you want to study. So 27 credits. I did the math. It was like a year and a half of just dumminess. before I could study what I wanted to study. And those 27 credits, they wouldn't count towards my major. So I did that 3 times, and for some reason, God said 3 different times that entrance exam was not for me, because honestly, no matter what I did, I couldn't pass it. So after the 3rd time, there are moments in life you don't forget. There are moments in life that hurt every day. There are moments in life that, as much as you try, you don't always move from. When I got the score the 3rd time, and I still missed it, I remember I got in the car and I just cried. And I mean, this was not even an ugly cry like in the movies. This was not, like, wah. This was a deep emotional. This was letting everything out. Anger, frustration, happiness out of my system, or I should say, letting it in. I don't know what you call it. And it really, I can't even describe it, because we live in a world where you need a tangible result. And I had no result. For me, literally nothing. See, for me, the disability never really bothers me. I mean, it does, but not in the way you think. It bothers me because, I can't do certain things, but this is how I know life. Like, I can't live another way. I have this disability 24/7. 365. There's no day off. So the disability doesn't affect me the way you think it does. But my entire life, I wanted to prove people, wrong. That I was more than a disability. I went to a high school where I was the wheelchair kid. I wasn't Kevin, I was the wheelchair kid. That's pretty much what happens when there are only 2 people in wheelchairs in the entire school that were in mainstream classes. I remember perfectly on my graduation day. You know how you have those like real friends and you have like acquaintances? Well, one of my acquaintances said to me, "Good luck in whatever it is that you do." He didn't mean it in a bad way, but good luck in whatever it is you do. If that doesn't bother you, it just bothers me because I'm like, whatever I do. So what if I die in a trash can? Like, does it matter? I don't like it. It just stuck to my ribs. And now I'm gonna do something really, really mean. I'm gonna leave you guys right here in the middle of the story to bring you part 2 on July 15th. So subscribe if you like this story so far. Make sure you tune back in on July 15th for part 2 of how to overcome challenges, how to look at the positives. Stay focused, stay blessed. Stay tuned for part 2. See you soon, July 15th. Subscribe now. Thank you so much for listening. That was another episode of The Purposely Broken World as a part of the Advocacy Life podcast network. Please like, subscribe, and comment all on our social medias at the Advocacy Life podcast and blog. If you want bonus content, you must subscribe with a small monthly fee. You'll get new episodes and fresh content of the podcast and possibly bonus blogs. Subscribe today, tell your friends, leave a review. That's how you make a difference. Thanks for listening and or watching to the Purposely Broken World on the Advocacy Life Podcast Network.